All right, so welcome everybody. Good morning. Good morning. How we doing? How we doing? All right, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get started for the day. We got a long day. We really appreciate you guys coming out early in the morning and getting cracking with us. It's very important, much valuable. All energy is much valuable. We got about, I think about 5 to 6 people online. People inside the actual space. So you know how we kind of get down is we got to wake up, right? So this is for the Cape here. This will be our 4th annual community-based racial and health equity summit, right? And if you look at the actual language, like the secret or the actual science is in the language, right? This is something that's from the community, for the community. Here later on today, we'll talk a little bit more about how we use this type of conference, convention type of setting to be able to mobilize and organize community, to be able to cultivate language, to be able to actually inform and synchronize, right, the environment that we're in. We're hoping that this becomes the first annual Buckley County, right? You know what I'm saying? What does that look like for community members, community professionals, community health workers from multiple different backgrounds, multiple different types of partnerships, right? Not just one group, but multiple groups coming together and saying, hey, how can we spend like 2 or 3 days? Typically, this activity would consist of like a concert, right? Friday night, for about 2 hours, big ceremonial opening, kind of dramatic a little bit in the Cape here, right? We do a little ceremonial opening, then we have a concert that evening, and then next in the morning, this Saturday morning, we usually go from early in the morning all the way to the actual evening. So you usually see people a little bit more energized, because that late night, they're kicking it behind a bonfire and whatnot, hanging out, chilling, talking about what they want to do. But yesterday, we had the blessing of actually working with the CHWPs and other community members to do an actual project in the community, adopting an actual park inside this name of project still? PBA, Community Center, which they'll talk a little bit more about today. Excellent, man, beautiful community, beautiful work. Multiple different partners came out to kind of find out what was going on, how they could plug in. The CHWP showed out. I guarantee you, they were not expecting to work that hard, and they still held it down. They looking sideways at everybody, like, I didn't sign up for this. Because they really didn't sign up for it, right? But they went out there, they made it. Typically how it usually works is you would actually coordinate and you would hire contractors to come out and use funding. But because it was like, man, listen, you guys are coming down here, you want to support us post-storm. They were saying, man, this is the thing to do may not be to be able to go out to the community and do tree work, right? You may not be going to the distribution centers, we may not need that type of assistance. So we listened to what the people here said they need. They said, come and actually do more of an actual educational type of gathering where we can actually work together and build together. So we said, okay, cool. But at the last minute, CHWs being innovative on their toes, saying, man, nah, bro, let's use some of that energy, let's go hit one of these little neighborhoods, right, and actually do some work in the community. And that was an amazing idea. It was amazing. So we're happy to be here today. We're hoping that this is the first annual for Bunker County, right? I'm going to go ahead and step off the mic. You're going to get a chance to meet everybody here. We're going to actually open up the way we traditionally open up and make sure we get our bodies moving and our energy going. I'm going to hand it over to break it down.
Good morning, and welcome to the 4th annual Cape Fear Community-Based Racial and Health Equity Summit. It is a blessing to be here, and we're going to get it moving, so everybody just move and clap with me. Come on, y'all. No matter where you are, no matter how, don't you worry, just call our name. You'll be in the company. You don't have to wait, because both of them. We love you, and we want to make sure that we support one another, because that's what it's all about. The CPRD is all about serving our community, serving one another, healing, mitigating harm that's caused in our community. So, is everybody warmed up? Gonna have Robbie come on up. Also, Brother William Baxter will be hosting, we'll all be co-hosting today. So with that, welcome. Here's Brother Robbie Carter from the Cape Fear.
How's everybody doing this morning, man? I'm energized today. We're gonna keep this moving. One of the things that we like to do as a Dakota House is what we call dynamic. And if you look up the word meaning of what dynamic means the science of movement and force. Right? So we like to look at that as it means that we need to come together, get on the same page, kind of do movement, and then we look at ourselves as a force. One of the things, exercises that we like to do is Qigong. Qigong is a form of movement and a form of breathing. So basically what the science of Qigong is that you have the ability to breathe in oxygen, and because of a certain way that you move, you're able to put oxygen in certain parts of your body. That's sort of like the science. So what I like to do is have everybody, if you can stand up, we're going to do a couple of exercises. So, you guys follow me, we're going to do some simple exercise of Qigong. I want you guys to take some deep breath when you're doing it. So here we go. Hands by the side. Down, come up, breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Two more. Breathe in, breathe out. One more. Breathe in, breathe out. Hands to the side. The next we're going to take Qigong, the Qi, what we call the Qi, the good energy. We're going to raise our hands up, come in like this, and suck all that deep breath, that good Qi, good energy in. Come down. Come in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Two more. Take deep breaths. Breathe out. One more. Breathe out. The next one, hands to the side. We're gonna come out. This is to get something right there on your chest. So you wanna breathe in, take your hands up like this. Spread them out, make your shoulder blades touch. Stretch them out, make sure your shoulder blades touch. And breathe out. Breathe in, spread your arms out. Make your shoulder blades touch. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Two more. The shoulder blades touch. Breathe out. One more. Those touch. And this next one, I want you guys to spread your legs a little bit. I want you guys to swing your arms, right? But I want you to use your weight. It's not like this, but use your weight. It's like a golf. Let your arms just go loose. Get the loose, maybe your back a little bit. You can go forward. Yeah, twist. Three more. Two more. One more. Everybody good? All right? So, really, this exercise is an easy exercise. Really, the science behind it is actually just breathing and moving. That's all it is, breathing. We want you to focus on your breathing. You can do it at home, do it in your chair, do it whatever. But this is something that you like to do to get us sort of like grounded for the morning, get us started. So, what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna turn it over to Will, the other MC. I'm gonna move back off properly. Then I'm doing something.
So I want to make sure before we hand over the actual mic to our three MCs, I introduce them properly, because we'll be seeing them throughout the day. But I also want to take a brief moment, right? So we all know that there's various things that we encounter in life. There's various things that go on in our personal life on a daily basis. And there's things that happen inside the world that somehow affects us. And there's things that happen inside of our immediate environment that affects us. Clearly, Buncombe in this region knows that. I just want to get a brief moment. What do any of us do in any given time to get ourselves calibrated? Yeah, example, right? So Robbie just gave Keegan, right? What else anybody else do?
Go outside.
Pray. Okay, go outside. What else? Meditation. What else? Huh? Yoga. Excellent. What else?
Coffee.
Coffee. What else?
Elevate that
Scream. Good job, right? Get it out. Catharsis. Like people don't know, people kind of sleep on that, right? You know what I'm saying? Like catharsis, actually, it's interesting. Working out is almost like a part of your body screaming, allowing your muscles to scream like, like when you really like, when you're really getting it in. I ask that because a part of what we're trying to do is create a container, right? In this time that we're here together, I mean, we're going to be here for most of the day. If you participate now and you leave, you're still going to be a part of this container. Anyone that comes in later, they're part of it. Anyone that has an intention to be present here is a part of the container, right? Anyone that's on Zoom is a part of the container, right? And one of the things you want to make sure you try to do when you're spending your time and your energy is get the best out of your time spent, right? So the best way to bring your best self into a particular environment is think about the things you normally do to keep yourself calm and to keep yourself recalibrated. You can think about that. You might not be able to do it physically today, because I don't know, if I show raise a hand, how many people was able to do what they normally like to do to keep themselves relaxed this morning? Who was able to do it? 1, 2, 3, 4. We got some really good calibrated people. Excellent. 5, everybody, right? That's excellent. You have some good energy inside the space. So what I want to do is that we're going to actually have our MCs. I want to make sure you probably know who the MCs are. Most of you guys do know them. Some of you guys don't. So y'all seen Sister Brenda Galloway. Brenda Galloway is a long time, lifetime resident of actual Wilmington, North Carolina. Again, hairstylist by trade. We met Sister Brenda back in 2016. Found out the type of work that she was actually doing. She was doing amazing work in the community. It was all beneficial. This is not an actual unfamiliar narrative, right? Most of us have actually entered into community work, community health work, or even doing the advocacy work we do with the systems already doing in our personal life. Well, Sister Brenda actually found herself living inside the Cape Fear region, right? You're working with families, youth, right? And actually became the first community health worker and violence prevention trainer, right? So y'all learn a little bit more about that in the future. But if you want anyone that's a community health worker and has been trained that, she was the first one before there was actual city training. She was on the ground. It's important to know that. She's a brilliant personality. Robbie, we call Robbie really quickly the floating bear. Right? Robbie's one of our most consistent, like real, loving, humble, very empathetic, you know what I'm saying, but strong brother inside of our presence in Socorro House, right? He's always going to check in on you, see what you got going on. He can have a whole lot of stress, you can probably see the stress on him, man. He's going to be still trying to find out what's going on with you, right? So you're going to get a lot of love, a lot of concern. You also get a lot of laid back from St. Louis, who's kind of real smooth, right? You're going to get a lot of that today as well, too, right? And then y'all know Will Bax, right? Will Bax, excuse me. Big, strong, loving, big teddy bear, right? But he's strong and he loves, he's passionate about this work, right? He's passionate about advocating for the actual CHW profession, CHW vice president professionals, not only here inside Buncombe County, but he's doing amazing work on a state level, advocating for this work. You're going to see the fruits of that actually manifest itself over the next year. He's also doing a lot of advocacy and building on the national level, right? So he's one of those CHWs that's kind of emerged, similar to myself, in VPP profession, being able to be seen at certain levels or whatnot. And all those doors are being opened up for all of us, right? So it's like, none of us is holding the door, right, and closing it behind it. We're like holding the door, like keeping it whole, right? But he's kind of big, right? So he can help you hold the door open, right? So I want to just give you guys kind of like that context, right? Because they probably not going to get a chance to talk about themselves, right? They're going to talk about everybody else. But they're going to tag team and kind of, like I'm saying, taking us throughout the day from one session to the next session. So you met Sister Brenda, she had a chance to do kind of her actual, what she does, love and sing. Brother Robbie did his kick out. I'm gonna ask Will come up and just talk a little bit about the importance of why do we feel like it's important to bring this work here to Buncombe County? And then we'll continue with our sessions real quick as we continue.
Thank you, First of all, I want to, on
behalf of CFCR&HE network here in Baltimore County, we want to thank Cape Fear for showing up for us. But that's nothing less than what we expected because y'all always show up for us. It was important to bring this work here because I feel like after the storm, we did need to relight that fire, to reignite that fire for us to really come together and realize the good work that we have been able to come together and do throughout the duration of this hurricane relief. It's been just organization after organization that have been able to get out in the community, join together and do what was needed to be done. And it wasn't about who was getting credit for this or who was getting credit for that. We decided work needed to be done and we showed up and did the work. So it is my prayer that will continue, that we will get stronger as a network and that it's about the work and not putting a check in the box and saying the credit goes to this person and that person, because the work is not going to stop. We're not going back to a sense of normalcy anytime soon, and we need to realize that it's going to take all of us, every organization, every person in every organization, in order for us to reach the people that are most in need. And you all coming out and helping to help us to get focused on that in the days and months, even years ahead, is very important up here in Baltimore County. So I look forward to the day. I will say that the Cape Fear region has definitely been very important in the implementation of CFCR&HE here in Baltimore County, because it is very helpful to be able to look up and see your big brother or big sister doing something the right way, and you're trying to make sure that you're not letting them down. So we work hard to make sure that we are implementing the CFCR&HE model the right way with fidelity, because we do understand that we have gonna be people all across the state that are training this. And not only are they looking at Cape Fear, they're looking at Baltimore. And we're not gonna let y'all down. You know, we're gonna continue to work hard. We have a great group of CHW VPPs that work within the Violence Prevention Initiative. And then there's a whole network of people that have been trained in CFCR&HE that might not necessarily be getting funded, but they're still out here boots on the ground working hard. And our goal is to draw all that together and just become a powerhouse across the state, you know, from the sea to the mountains. And that's what we'll put on the flyer. And that's what we're about, man. So I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
And so we're gonna keep this thing moving. We're gonna start our first session off with Mr. Abdullah and Mr. Vance Williams. They're gonna talk about building and sustaining community network. What does that look like? What does that look like? And then I'll give you a glimpse of that, how that looks.
Vance Williams, raise your hand up. He's right here. Come. Before I start, I can also introduce you when you come in and whatnot. Let me give you a proper introduction when you come in your session. This is Vance and whatnot. He's going to be coming in the second half of it. I'm going my first 15 minutes. And before I transition, I'll let you know who he is and whatnot, just to give you a context. When you think about community networks, I want you to think about a term everybody in the country has been talking about. Like everybody's using this term called ecosystems. When you think about ecosystems, what do you think about? I'm sorry. I gotta keep myself back over here. Somebody y'all remind me that we got people on Zoom, so like, push me back. If I'm coming towards you, push me back. When you think about ecosystems, what do you think about? Ecosystems. It doesn't matter if you're talking about ecosystems in a professional, public safety, public health sense, or you're talking about ecosystems in terms of just like, you know, animals, trees, right, vegetation, right? What do you think about when you think about ecosystems? What comes to mind? Huh? Okay, nature. What else? Good. Connections and movement. So he actually said something though, and y'all couldn't see it though. He said connection, but he said movement, right? He's talking about bi-directional movement, correct? Excellent. What else comes to mind when you think about ecosystems? Relationships. And what's your name, man? Rena? Rita. Relationships. Relationships. That is the essence of ecosystems. That is the essence of ecosystems. If you want to think about how to mobilize community networks. We're talking about the building and the sustaining of ecosystems. You have to understand and take the word ecosystem and translate it from a community lens into relationship. In relationship is everything, right? In relationship is your healing. In relationship is your trauma. In relationship is your building. In your relationship, depending on the level of actual efficacy or the level of actual quality, it can also be your digression, right? But a strong relationship allows for everything that was mentioned in terms of communication, bi-directional sharing, building. When you have strong relations, strong connections, right? And you see that in nature. Whenever you have an environment that's actually thriving off each other in a healthy way, then things grow. But if something comes in that's invasive, it can literally choke out or kill certain things that's essential to that community. So when I'm saying community, right, networks, I want you to think ecosystems, and I want you to think ecosystems as a sense of an actual small organism within a larger network of organisms. So if I say community ecosystem, I'm saying we want to build a small organism, right, that's learned how to thrive within itself, but is interacting with the rest of the environment in a healthy way. So the community-based ecosystem is interacting with, keep in mind, there's a large ecosystem. We're talking about the community-based organism. It's operating and functioning with the public safety organism. It's operating and functioning in a healthy way with the public safety, public health organism, housing organism, economic organism, political organism, right? How do you guarantee healthy relationships, though? Now, I'm gonna break it down. Think individually within yourself. What do you do to try to maintain healthy relationships with your children and with your friends and with your family? Zoom, y'all can feel like y'all can pop in as well too, because like whenever I'm open, just unmute yourself. We hear you. What do you do to maintain healthy relationships within your immediate environments? Whoa, two loving bears right there. Sacrifice and compromise. Okay. Sacrifice and compromise has to be a part of the process. What else? Communicate. Loyalty. What else? Creating mutual efficacy and goals. Creating mutual efficacy and goals. In order to get efficacy, it has to be beneficial for both. Your goals have to be beneficial. The relationship has to be mutually capable, allowing both to thrive. Because if not, one eventually is going to move itself away from the relationship. Or other people are going to begin to look at the relationship and say, is that healthy? Like, why is this one like so together and the other one that's around is like so broken up and unstable? Are you okay? You look at intimate partner relationships, right? You see someone walk into a couple walk into a room and one person of a couple, male or female, looks fly, dressing, smelling good, looking good, moving confident, but the other one's moving with them, right? Not as well put together, right? Not as focused, maybe a little bit frazzled. And you begin to notice that as a pattern. At some level, you can begin to wonder, is that situation okay? So, in the same way that you have an individual relationship that needs to have these certain things to allow it to thrive, it's the same thing with collective relationships. So when I'm talking about building, and we're talking about building community network, community ecosystems, use the word network because I think it's a little bit more clear what you're trying to do. Right? But an ecosystem is more than just a network, right? But you can argue it is a network, it's a simple language of network. You have to first identify yourself and distinguish yourself within a larger collective. You have to first identify that you have something unique and special to offer the larger collective. So what does community, meaning non-professional, right? Community meaning non-government. What special do they have to offer the larger ecosystem of society when it comes to actually producing healthy human beings? community have to offer now? Let's try this. What does public safety have to offer? So public safety is designed to keep you safe. And they have multiple different ways they do it, right? So you expect public safety to do what? Keep you safe. That's what they offer. Right? That's what you interact with them for. You call the police, you count on the judges, you count on the bailiffs to make sure that the people who get crimes get held accountable. You count on the correctional officers to make sure that they keep them in the prisons and away from the rest of us. You count on them. But what can community offer within a larger ecosystem? Better environments. Excellent. Bring it, child. Why would you say that community? Why would she say that community offer better environments? You're getting, I promise you, about to get it right now. Like this piece right here is the piece. Oh, she's a gay young man. Come on, why did she say that? Put her style like that. She's a gay yard too. You gotta figure it out. I help you out.
They control the culture. They control the culture of the environment.
Ooh, real bad. Come on, man. You're supposed to be the MC, man. You can't be taking over the whole training, man. Listen, he says they control the culture. That's a whole other training. Just that word culture is a whole other training, right? But in the environment, 90+% of crimes happen before the police arrive. 90+% of crimes happen before us community-based organizations, right, make it to the environment to help the people. So who are the ones really preventing crimes in the community when we don't hear about it? Crimes happen. It's the people in those communities. Who are the ones really feeding and making sure other people get fed before they go get a food box, before they go somewhere else and they're sitting there letting people know I don't have nothing, they got to get food stamps. Community. So when you begin to understand that naturally, as community members or community professionals that emerge directly from these communities that you represent, and you're interfacing with systems, which Brother Vance is going to come and talk about here in a moment, that you offer a very unique asset. When you begin to understand what role that asset has to offer in the larger overall optimization of society, you move different. You think different. Your language becomes different. Right? But that's only possible if you understand that and you begin to consciously cultivate. Now, are you different from everybody else in the sense of completely disconnected and separated? No. But you offer something different. So when you interface with public safety, you interface with public health, you interface with the government, right? County commissioners, city council, when you interface with the hospital, you're interfacing with them, understanding that you represent a certain constituent and access to a certain constituent that they need. So when you as community organizers, community health workers, when you begin to cultivate within the community the ability to actually collectively interface with those entities, you get better outcomes in your relationships. You have to see your collective self as one individual entity. I have a saying, I always say this, whether you got one person or 1,000, you teach the same. You have to turn that 1,000 into one anatomy. You have to see that one person as if it's 1,000 moving parts. And you start to build it, right? So for instance, as I wrap up, we started doing these summits. The first thing we focused on was language. 2020, George Floyd uprising, COVID-19, everybody realizing that our state of affairs was in a state that we never imagined, although many of us knew it was in that state in terms of disparities. But it became so apparent, like the individuals start feeling like they need to do something about it. Plus the streets were on fire,
right? And the youth was outraged. And the whole country began to declare racism as a public health issue, right? They did it in Buncombe. They did it inside the actual Cape Fear, inside of New Hanover County. Over 300 cities and municipalities actually declared racism as a public health issue. So they said we got to do something. Well, what we did inside the actual Cape Fear region, we began to say, you know what? We need to really do something. What can we do? Galvanize the community. Because the community is in so much competition with each other. The community always looking at each other like as if someone's out to get. There's so much trauma within the community. There's so much opportunity, but they can't work together. There's so much opportunity, but everybody got, it's like a whole group want to work, but just one person in the group don't like one person in that group, and the whole group not working. Why is that the case? Why can't we move forward and be able to represent what it is we really want to achieve? We start realizing that because of a lack of connectivity. So we begin to host the summit similar to what we used to do back in the 1920s, these national conventions, where people would come together from multiple different locations and they'd be discussing what they got going on, their plans and their strategies, but then they'll come up with a common goal, right? That mutually benefited everyone. And when they walked away from there, guess what happens? You think everybody in that room adopted 100% of everything that was being taught or everything that was being shared? No. But they grabbed something from it. And they felt themselves more connected to the collective. So having an actual summit, a gathering where every year, maybe 2 times a year, but definitely once a year, you come together and you collectively learn, you collectively share, you collectively connect, is an actual science of recalibration of that ecosystem, of that community ecosystem. Right? And I said this last part before I hand it over. It's one thing to bring people together. It's one thing to be able to educate and to be able to share information with each other. Right? And it's one thing to even have a common goal and walk out that space. But if you don't have a clear ideal of the actual entities you're going to go interact with, none of that means nothing. If you don't understand the larger systems in which is governing you, who are managing and regulating your resources, managing and regulating policies in which dictates how you can actually do what you do. If you don't understand that, then all you was able to achieve was a feeling that was good. It felt good. So what Brother Vance is going to do is we're going to talk to you real briefly, actually for the rest of the actual session, about how do you interface. I believe everything I said about building and connecting, everybody in this room can do really well. I haven't said anything different. I might have shared a little bit of language, right? That was unique, right? But I haven't said anything that you guys don't know. This part right here, I believe is the part that's most significant because it's talking about how do we, once we come together, how do we navigate? Because it's when we're navigating each other with each other, find ourselves against each other. Like Mike Tyson said, right? Everybody got a plan to get in the ring and get hit. You got a plan. And once you start navigating, bam, something happens. Some money comes on the table, right? Somebody got some recognition from the news that we wasn't expecting them to get, right? And all of a sudden we're looking at each other. Now we ain't even felt like we used to. For the banks. We're here all day. You need this on the screen, right?
Yeah, but not right there.
Okay, I got you.
Good morning. I'm Ben Sales. I hail from Wilmington, North Carolina, but I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan, East Side. That's where I was born and raised. Yesterday, everybody, all the CHW, DPPs, working together, and it was a beautiful. I saw different organizations come there, just some to participate, some just witness. And I thought about the networking web. What does that actually look like? I even heard community members walk up to CHW
ask them for resources, or where they find this, or they go. Like this building, it could be housing, it could be something as simple as,
You gotta pull back, Max, you gotta come back right here for them to hear you.
like moving a couch, something as simple as that. Some things, when we're working together and we're collaborating, some things, like, just like your homeless or unsheltered population, some things are considered high risk, low risk, or medium risk, and you have to determine your capacity when you're networking and you're working together. What is my capacity to fulfill the needs, and where do I access the resources? Sometimes our community members, they get frustrated because they don't know where to get the resources at. They don't have a clue, right? And CHW, DPPs, or community leads, right? Which we should be doing is having the resources available and knowing how to network and knowing how to collaborate to give our community members the things that they need. What I'm going to give you is a visual as far as New Hanover County, different systems, and how they interconnect. What we're going to do is break out into groups. And what we're going to do, we're going to ask some key questions. And I'm going to show you on the board what those key questions are. And we're going to break it up, and we're going to form this think tank. And this think tank is for this region to develop a web. And that web looks like, okay, who's responsible? Who's responsible for housing? Who's responsible for the fentanyl crisis? What are the entities that's involved? Where do we go to access the resources? We have to know these things, right? When we're networking, when we're offering direct services, but we have to have a visual of actually what this looks like. If anybody ever seen things dealing with a criminal report or when they're doing an investigation, one thing they have always when they look at a main corporate, they have a person on the wall, a person of interest on the wall. Then they have all of these people that they're connected to. When we're thinking about organized crime, they have all of these arrows that say, we're targeting this person. What I'm doing is giving you an example. This is the issue. These are all the people that are connected, that are responsible. We need to have visuals actually what this actually looks like so we can offer our community members a proper service. At times we're becoming exhausted. We feel like this can't be accomplished. And the reason why we feel this way at times because we don't know how to properly network with each other to maximize our energy, to maximize our efforts. I believe in this room, there are brilliant people. There are people that actually know like where the resources are, and there are some people like, look, I have connectivity to the community, and I have this lens and this understanding about the real need. But sometimes dealing with institutions, they have this lens, but it's not necessarily a community lens. This is why community health workers profession is so important. You have a different understanding of how systems work, where the need is, and today what we're going to do is kind of give a visual about what that looks like. But what I first want to do, we need to define first, because you know your need. What is considered high risk, medium risk, and low risk? Because that's what's going to determine our mobilization. For instance, the other day I gave a bill. Can you pull the report? The other day I
Might want to get to your activity, running short on time. Yeah. Which report you want?
sorry.
From the one you said bachelor?
Yeah. Just to give them an understanding.
Go ahead. I gotta send it to my other email.
Yesterday, I gave a report based upon what I saw at the farm. We had a chance beforehand to do some briefing about some of the things that happened a year ago, dealing with a needle and somebody being possibly injured. So yesterday, when I was looking at the interaction I had, I was also looking at populations or unsheltered and those with, some serious substance abuse issues, right? And I saw how they were congregating around the park. I saw the interaction, and I gave this report based upon some possible solutions. But there are some things that's missing in my report. And the things that's missing in my
There we go.
report is, who is responsible? Let me see, clear.
It's not clear. Hold on. Is it projector?
No, it's the lenses. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hold on.
Oh, it goes back. Back is bigger. The lens is kind of off. Right here. I can't see. What I'll do is print it out and you guys can read it. That's what I'll do. This time is of the essence.
How many you want in the group?
How many per group?
4 degrees. That's what I see. It should be 3 groups. 3 groups of 4. Yeah, that's what it is. 3 groups of 4. The report that I gave yesterday was, this was concerning, this is feedback concerning the play area in Nashville housing development. And this was some possible solutions, right? This is how you look at a situation and try to draw some type of positive, even though it's a negative environment, some things that's happening that are negative. Try to draw some positivity out of it. And this is design signs with respectful, friendly language, encourage safe practices such as help keep our parks safe for everyone and dispose of all trash properly. This is dealing with signage, right? This is also use positive reinforcement, focusing on creating a safe environment for children with foster a shared sense of responsibility. Needle disposing stations, community-led cleanup events, natural surveillance enhancement. That looks like trim back all overgrown vegetation and ensure sightlines are clear, right? Install safe seating areas, environmental messaging and mulch and pathways, create a community ambassador program. These things that I just described, right? Some things are considered high risk, like the needle, for instance. When you look at our capacity, needle and injury, that's considered high risk. Mulching pathways and things of that nature, that's considered low risk. So when mobilizing, we have to examine what is high risk, what is medium risk, and what is low risk, right, when it comes to mobilizing. If our community members say, this is my grievance, right? We have to determine what area does this city, because we have to access our network. Do we access our high-risk network, meaning that does this require, 15 CHWs to be activated? Does this require 3 to be activated? Does this require a community meeting? So we have to determine our capacity by labeling things, high risk, medium risk, and low risk. What I'm gonna do, I wanna break us off into groups. Yep, I wanna break us up into groups. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna form this think tank. And this think tank is going to, how do we handle grievances? If our community has an issue, right? And just to give you an example, right? This is some of the think tank questions. How frequently are you personally receiving grievances from community members, and what types do you find the most common? So if somebody says, I'm having a problem with housing, or somebody says, you know what, I'm having a problem with addiction, right? In that area that you're working, what do you come like frequently hear? Are they talking about drugs? Are they talking about housing? Are they talking about gun violence, right? This is another question. What barriers, just so you can get an understanding and have a lens, what barriers do you face in responding to grievances quickly? How might these barriers be reduced? So sometimes sometimes our community members gauge trust based upon how fast you respond. And they say, dang, man, I had this issue, but now you're just getting to me 90 days later or 6 months later. That means in your brain, in your soul, you label this low risk. Somebody said, my cousin just got shot. Okay. You just labeled that low risk. But is that low risk? A community member gets shot in the community. What is that considered? High risk. High risk. So how we're thinking about this, how should we respond to that situation? How should we be mobilizing around that situation? What does our capacity look like when responding to a grievance? Trust, because that's part of the profession, that one thing dealing with community, our number one connectivity is what? Trust. Trust is going to determine our level of responsibility. If you look at the word responsibility, it's really this, our ability to respond. If you just examine the word responsibility, it's your ability to respond. Those that are moving in a disabled way, they say, you're not responsible. I don't trust you. That's a big factor. So when we're looking at grievances, these are the things that we're going to be discussing. Assessing risk level. What types of grievances or issues do you consider high risk, requiring immediate mobilization? What's an example you've encountered? We're going to talk about that in our breakout session. What examples have you encountered personally within your group that's considered high risk? Are there certain signs that a low risk or medium risk issue is escalating? How do you know that this is about to reach another level? What's the determining factor that you see in the ecology, in the environment, that you say, you know what? I'm looking at 30 days, and this is going to reach. This is a medium thing, but this has a potential to be high risk. And this is how we should be responding to the situation. Community trust and relationship building. How do you feel the community perceives our current response time? What are they saying? Man, slow. And then people don't. What are they saying? Or are they saying, hey, as soon as this situation happened, they mobilized, they were on it. Even if we were to do some education around the issue, bring awareness to the issue, that's a starting point. But to do absolutely nothing, right, like your monks, becomes an issue for our community. They immediately judge us, especially if it's a high-risk issue. Okay. He's printing on some stuff right now. This is called improving collective mobilization. What methods can we use to communicate and collaborate effectively when an immediate response is needed? Are there any systems or tools you think would make our mobilization efforts more efficient for high-risk situations? That means that we have to actually develop tools, right, that will help us analyze data, look at trends. There are things that we can use on our mobile apps that we can use, right? That we can put in and actually collect data on a certain environment, whether that environment receives 7 gunshots within the week, you would collectively have that data amongst yourselves, amongst your network. What you have here, limited on time. What you have here is an example of this is New Hanover County Schools. This is New Hanover County Schools, right? This example, right, is something you can use, and this example is something, this is a power tool, right? If you have this example amongst your read, you can find out easily responsible. How are things working and how are things connected? Imagine every community leader knows who's responsible. But sometimes we say things and we say, I need this, I need that, and we're talking to a person that that's not in their will. So when it's time to answer a grievance from a community member, we're all over the place. We don't know how things actually work. We have to know how the engine is moving, how the engine functions. Where is the breaking point in the engine? And then come up with solutions to fix it. Imagine this: a newsletter that has the majority or the priority issues in your community, and it has this person, the institution or the person that's responsible. Do you know how uncomfortable that is for them, for that institution? Do you know the level of accountability as far as visibility that puts in the and guess how you will be looked at as an institution that put that out there? They care about me. They actually know who's responsible for housing. They actually know who's responsible for food. They know the entity that's involved in reducing crime. Look, it's posted. I can actually see how things work, how things operate. This group did that for me. What happens to the trust in the community? It builds. Because now we have this level of transparency. Also, now you have a clear understanding how to interface, how to connect with institutions. Even if you were to do a level of advocacy, you can say, this says right here that you're connected to such and such, and you're responsible for such and such. I just want to know where you're at with it. You know, oh, I'm sick about this. Really, that's a problem. I didn't know to me, ask me a question about this, that. So now it heightens awareness. Now you put institutions, organizations on notice. I see you. But guess what? You're in this network too. At CHWBPs, this is where we fit in. So this has to be created in your region. 4 major systems you have here. you have the county, law enforcement, you have all these. You have to create one, just like one was created for our region, right? And there's a breakdown. You have to create that for your region. But first, you have to.
Thanks, you gotta back up.
Huh?
You gotta back up. There you go.
First, you have to determine high risk, medium risk, and what is considered low risk. What we're gonna do now, we're gonna grab some, anybody got any questions? I know I'm moving kind of fast, because I'm limited on time. Anybody got any questions? Does everybody understand what I mean by high risk, medium risk, and low risk? Does everybody got a basic understanding of it, what it means? Yes, no, maybe. All right, that's it.
So for people on the Zoom, we want to give you kind of heads up what he's talking about. Just, you might not be able to fully participate, but what he has going on, I'm gonna share my screen right quick. We got plugged in, because he has this document and everything you heard. So you heard what he was sharing. So this document is what he produced, right? Showing the different systems and how they connect. What he's about to put them into is in a breakout rooms, about 4 groups of 3s. And he has some questions for them that he's going to have them answer. Obviously, it's not going to be as sophisticated as this document here, but he's going to have them connect the dots for what's going on here in Buncombe. So again, we can think about, okay, if you're building relationships amongst your community and you have a network and you actually strengthen your relationships in your network, then how do you leverage that? You have to know who you're leveraging with based off what the issue is, right? You go to the wrong place, arguing, debating, and advocating for something that no one has the power to do. All you did was waste your time, right? And you may even sabotage yourself. But if you know exactly who can make the decision and who's connected to that person that makes the decision, then you can target your energy, right? And people won't get fatigued, get burnt out, or people won't actually lose respect for you because you're not even asking the right people that can make the decision. People don't even know what they're doing, right? And these are the questions, I'm gonna share this with you. These are the questions that he's having them explore. So like, for instance, if you have the community safety signage, who would you ask? If you want to look at, needle disposal stations, who would you talk to? You want to get with, let me see, hold on. Some other ones here. It's a series, like it's a 4-page document. He's going through different things, installation of safe seating areas. He's going through this high risk, low risk kind of concept. Let me see. So he has this right here, the think tank. So this is the questions that they're going to review real briefly. They're not going to be able to go through all of them, so they're going to go through some of them. Capacity and response team, asking questions. How frequently are you personally receiving grievances from community members? So they're going to pick some of these questions to kind of like delve into evaluation and improvement and solutions and preventive measures. And again, it's kind of an activity where they're going to pick from certain aspects, and then when they report back, each little bit will kind of bring a bigger picture together. That's kind of like what's going on for people that's kind of paying attention. I see it still. We got kind of active here. We got more people showing up.
Thanks, Abdullah. That's helpful.
Huh?
Yeah.
I just said that's helpful to see that,
Yes.
and it's great.
So again, everything he's talked about, he's pretty much getting ready to have them duplicate a smaller version of it and whatnot. So you'll get a chance to hear them report back on some of the things they came up with. I apologize, we don't have nobody moderating inside the Zoom to help you with that piece, but at least you get 80% of what's going on by this hearing, right?
Yeah, and for me, I guess Brittany would be, but the ones in the room are the ones who know the answers. I don't know the answers to all these questions, so I'm excited to learn more.
Yes, so we have a few people in here now, so we should be getting some reports back. You know what I'm saying on they're broken up into groups now, so okay, we're here.
Yeah, and
yes, I heard my name. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just saying, you know the answers to these questions better than I would.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Salim asked if we could get a copy of this, Abdullah.
It was given 4. They don't have them. They can't print out anymore. You have to do something Give somebody a phone and let them look at, send a text message to their phone. Okay.
The question is, in our community, what do you consider high risk? Yes. Or it feel like this. And I feel like areas for highs. Like you see the majority of the let's say different parts. So we say parts, this is the issue that is happening. We just got a few minutes. What is considered high priority, high risk? Just so I can put it out there, please wait just for 1 second, because I really want to spark a thinking. The next question, just so we can put it together, how are community members communicating that high priority work?
Back off, stop right here, it's a sweet spot right here. Yeah, it's a sweet spot right there. Oh, right here too. So, okay, got it, right here. Got it. They can hear you straight from there. Okay, so the whole session is actually not
I need one person from your team to communicate the message. Just pick one person from your team. Has this group already figured out theirs already?
We're working on a high risk. Yes.
Please pick somebody from your group to communicate. If you want to look at the definition of immediate time, y'all, that it's on the second, it should be on your second page. You want to look at what it actually is. All right, please pick somebody from your group to speak, please. Time. So we're going to start at this back table. Yeah, we're going to start at the back table real quick. So. Can you stand up? Can you stand up for a minute?
Now it's not up. First of all, it's not. So we got Zoom and it's actually being live recorded. So what's going to happen is we may not share everything that you're presenting, but we have to take clips. So if you're speaking, you have to come over here and give your report. That's for everybody. Yeah, part of this is also practicing that we share the value of actually having something else.
So for our group, some of the high-risk situations that we're currently seeing, of course, we have a huge uptick in the household population. And then gun violence and substance use. So we've seen a huge increase in like fentanyl overdoses and things of that nature. And so how we see communication, we still see a huge issue with silence. And so like me personally, I'm over an hour down the mountain. So there's not a huge communication as to what's going on in the Boca County area. So a lot of people don't understand that entire community has literally been washed away. But some of the communication we do see being successful currently is like the social media. So YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, a lot of people are authentically communicating what their issues, what their needs, and how they need people to show up and what's missing. And then also some of the local news stations like Watchdog and Blue Ridge Radio are some of the ways that we see effective communication going on.
Thank you.
You up? You ready? No. We're gonna be last. Okay.
Okay,
So we honed in on the needle issues, because we connected a lot of the issues overall between kind of this environmental justice and empowerment situations. And so, specifically with that was, there's needles in the playground, you can allude to there being other things in the playground as well. The actual people who live there having to engage with that, and a young child actually engaging with the needles. And now that being a huge issue for them. Our group, I think, had a really robust conversation and allowed for us to have next points. So in the advocacy point, how do we actually empower those folks who are inside of this community? Because most likely there are disenfranchised in place. And then especially the historical folks are there. So how do we empower them? That might look like an education campaign mixed with how they're going to be something tangible. Neighborhood association that can connect with resources to let them have the same resources that the point is. And then on the second front side was the situation of tangible resources in the interim. So that while they're building that out, they have a connection of resources as their residents and their households. And that's that robust referral network so that folks can come and be able to have access. All right, right now I need a code. Code from here, look at this, go to code from here, and then follow that up with an education plan with these different institutional organizations and community-based organizations have some relationship building, and it's not just one-off, but there is mutual efficacy.
another question is, how are community members communicating that thing that they view as high priority or high risk? How is it? I heard social media, Twitter. What does your group believe? How are people communicating that message?
I mean, are you saying like how is Asheville actually doing it?
Like your interaction.
Yeah.
Like if you're out in the community, right? What does that communication, What does that communicate? Some people are hearing it through Facebook. Some people are hearing a variety of different ways. It could be communicated far as attending a community meeting and then hearing that like this is a issue. Your group, how are things being communicated that's considered a high risk?
I think it's different ways. So it's like you have the professional side. Okay.
You get messages and text messages, and they say you can't hear, they're here, so you don't.
Yeah, my bad. I apologize.
Yeah, exactly. So, sound check, is we good with his voice?
Yes? Can you hear me?
All right. There's different ways in which things are communicated. So you have your professional circles and then you have your just community circles. So for the PSCBSU directly, I'm someone where I lived in PBA. So there's gonna be communications on interpersonal when I'm playing ball or I'm doing.
PBA, tell me. What
PSCBSU apartments.
Okay,
that's
gotcha.
where the case study was at that you guys went out and saw them.
Okay.
XYZ.
Got it.
So there's gonna be a lot of folks who are disenfranchised and who are actually been there, who feel comfortable communicating face to face, things that are issues. Then on the professional side, you're gonna have different groups that are out there. So that's another route where it's gonna be social media, but then also those professional side of I work there. So people who live there, people who are paid to be there, and then you have communities who are coming in there for different efficacy reasons. So that's the main way that the news gets out. Y'all wanna add to
Can you speak? Can you come up? Stand right here.
I feel like we could also use, like, in areas where there's more homeless population and stuff, using flyers and posters. So they have more ability to be able to get resources and stuff and have information about what's going on in local situations.
Got it. On the top of your paper, one of the solutions it said was an informational kiosk that's in your community. That could be a possible solution. Thank you. Good statement. Good job. Good job. Good job.
Don't mess up the floor. Come this way, man. You know you
Man, I'm gonna go disagree just as you said.
So we're gonna start with high risk. Some of the high risk things that we came up with was, of course, needle use, gun violence, drug activities, lack of security, and a recovery help. One of the things that we did for medium risk was, we talked about medium risk was having daily check-ins, having someone maybe go around, we can monitor the park, go around, especially with the kids, so that we don't go back and stuff is piled up, nobody's checked in, we don't know. Do some weekly cleanups. And I guess just, communicate more with the building and try to advocate with some of the community health workers that live in that area, in PBA, because that's where we was at. The low risk was needle assistance. So I forgot the name of the organization, but they
Harm reduction.
yeah, so they come around and be able to have assistance, give out educational stuff, try to help minimize any lack of like being there, leaving needles and stuff like that, maybe having some containers where they can leave the needles. And I guess adopting sort of a peace team or community team to kind of be in and out over there, to be stationed, because we all want to live over there, but we can get kind of a team within the community, kind of structure the community there.
How are the community members communicating their grievances? What do you see? Those that have a problem, issues, how are they communicating?
So right now, we basically are in community and we reach out to them. If we was to have to come up with a solution, maybe having some type of outlet, social media wise, because that's how a lot of people, communicate, or having someone designated to take
kind of hotline call. We switch. Might be him one week answering calls, might be me one week. So those are some of the things that I think that we're not doing, because I think just off the top that we could implement this quickly.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna close out with this. I don't want us to be like empty-handed, but I do want us to think about something. You have two things. You have your community-based networks, and then you have your networks where you interface with institutions that are not community-based, but more like community focused, right? A strong possible solution is to form a web and a network amongst the community-based organizations where you can visually see who's responsible, how do we collaborate, and then you have this second version. What does the network look like with institutions? Who's responsible? And because you already have your community-based network, you can be more effective visually with interfaces with institutions. Because you absolutely know how each other, who's responsible for what, who can do what. So when it's time to interface or connect with institutions, you know exactly what to ask for, and you know exactly who's responsible. So that one I just gave you, you will have access to an example of what's something, a tool. You can use it as a tool, right? To like maximize your efforts so you don't burn yourself out.
We're not done yet. We're gonna do a quick reflection. We want to make sure that you guys, get back to you guys. We brought two pieces together. Obviously, Vance kind of summed it back up, the relationship between the system and the community. But one of the things you have to realize that it's all one. You need to articulate, I don't know, sister. You hit that. Don't hit that. I don't know. I don't know. So we may communicate and compartmentalize for the purpose of being functional and being practical. We need you to be able to see yourself. You have to be able to see your leverage. You have to be able to see your brilliance. You have to be able to see your capacity. You have to be able to build your capacity. Right? They say put the actual mask on yourself first, right? Before you put it on your actual child, you're saying on your level. Because if you pass out, you can't help them. It's the same thing. The communities have to prioritize communities, get itself in order. Then it has to actually understand who is interacting with it, right? But it's very important to understand without a shadow of a doubt that it's all one. It's all symbiotically working together, right? But you have to be able to actually function within that. If you're just being thrown around in that, you don't know what direction you're going, you're being thrown around again. If you're not able to optimize outcomes that represent your prioritized interests. I'm gonna say this as we wrap up, right? No one's ever, in your personal life, in your professional life, in your community life, no one's ever gonna prioritize your priorities. Right. Everybody got their own priorities. People may consider your priorities. People may even support your priorities. Sometimes people may take your priorities in alignment with what they identify as a priority. But personally speaking, you should never expect, and you should never, you will find that you never see that 100% of the time, people are prioritizing your priorities. Everybody prioritizes their priorities, right? And then secondary is anybody else. That's natural, right? Real quick. What was the takeaway? Some real wraparounds. Takeaways. Brother Kevin, can you put up the actual the survey on the screen, the QR code, and if you can, drop it inside the actual link. But I want to hear from you guys. What was the takeaway in this actual session we had real quick before we move to the next session? What was your own personal? Okay, that was interesting. That was different. Practical. What did you think of it?
Kind of breakdown of everything, high risk, medium risk, low risk, kind of prioritize things for me, kind of look at it like, things that we should be kind of attacking first and second, third. So I think the system of the whole research
So Sean said it was the system for him, like the breakdown of like what is that the high level, medium levels, like lower level type thing. That's what he said was his thing, was the thing that stood out to me. Anybody else?
For me, it was when you talk about who's responsible. Got a lot of people out here interviewing, doing work, and it's good work, but who's being held responsible for certain things in that lane, understanding that's their lane to operating in order to make an impact.
Good. So understanding, so even again, another system. Understanding who's responsible for any particular activity, right, is what Will is saying, which actually allows for optimization of performance. Right? Everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing, but more importantly, it's not, some people know what they're supposed to be doing. Do other people know what they're supposed to be doing? And that's what I mean. No one what other people are supposed to be doing so we can be able to support them properly and expect them to properly. What happens if you don't know what somebody is doing, but you think that they should be doing this? You get disappointed because you have an actual deficient expectation from them. Right? But when you understand what they should be doing, you can probably support them and have, let's say, equitable expectations. Yes, sir.
What I experienced is that understanding what everybody's doing in the room, it takes the work off of you. Because, prime example, I've been in the program 15, 20 years, but I'm working with a group of people, right? But a lot of us doing the same thing. Yes. And then on Friday, when we come in, we all got the same paperwork. Yes. And it's like, I was doing it. Yeah. Oh man, I was like, look, so it has to be a design. Yeah. Because we all are different, right? Yeah. But we all have special gifts. So whatever that special gift, stick to that. Because if we got a room like this, guess what? Yes. Everybody got their own special gift, which means it takes the load off of you. Yes. We would do ourselves an injustice to keep thinking, I got the best program and I can do this all by myself. Yeah. That's the injustice. Yes. And I think I can respect. That's why we old and our bad too. Everything too close to us. Yeah. But if we knew, if we just linked and held on to each other, that actually that move expedition. Because now it's on team now. Now individually, I get to speak my whole heart about what's special. Yes. That comes out effortlessly.
The response, the translation for that, we have a group over here, is taking the collective, like seeing the collective work that everyone is doing, one, right, takes off the burden from yourself, but also give access, right, to this collective work that actually can count. Yes. Right, and so you can have some form of cooperation. And we use the word about like your own special, right? The special thing that you do also gives others the chance to actually do their special things, but they can do it together. Yeah, remove some stress off of each other. Let's take one more comment. We're gonna wrap up and get prepared, Sister Brenda, for the next session.
Okay, I just want to follow on that on the project yesterday, a grand, wonderful project. But just as the children were so excited and joyful to come and see, they had a new playground. The people that were coming through, the homeless, the addicts or whatever, they were coming through and they were excited to see that they have a new safe space, an upgraded space to get high in, to sleep in at night. So we talked about a design, a community network, to enforce safety, and it's a public playground, but this is for the children. And to actually come together with the community members there and public safety, they have to get a design together so that they're consistent in the rules. Because there has to be some rules as to when they can frequent that playground at the dark. Someone is going to actually monitor if it's public safety or whoever, come and monitor, run them off, whatever, something like that has to take place, or by Christmas, it's gonna be right back like it.
So Sister Brenda mentions the collaboration between, you can do a project in order to sustain a project, right? She talked about the young kids being excited about the playground. She also talked about at the same time the people dealing with houselessness and substance use disorder in the area was also excited for their actual recreational activities, right? And how to make sure that one doesn't overpower or overwhelm the other, meaning, right, maybe some activities that may not be helpful for the kids, right? in that space doesn't take away from the kids' opportunity to benefit from the space. And she was talking about how it has to be a collaboration, it has to be a design, and she was saying that this activity was a perfect example of talking about how to really think about the design and think about that actual collaboration. Is there one more comment before we wrap up right here?
Yeah, I think, what you were saying, what you were saying about putting a mask on yourself, as we are working in groups, the things that we need to work on, whether it's my communication style or if I set Tony off, he doesn't have trust with me.
Yeah.
So then he feels like he has to do everything on his own.
Yes.
Right? So once we heal together, then we can model that for the community.
Yes.
So that's what I'm.
Yeah. You can't give what you don't have.
That's right.
Yes. Yes. Brother Walter's talking about if you model conflict resolution, if you model healing, if you model building relationships within your team and within your family or within your inner circle, then by default, you'll be able to model that for the community, right? We gave a quote and he agreed 100% that you can't give what you don't have. Ladies and gentlemen, we really appreciate you guys' time. We have an awesome session coming up next, but one thing that has to happen, it doesn't have to, but we really encourage it to happen. You might see this QR code up there. Kevin, can you put it back up? I'm gonna need everyone to take a brief moment to grab your phones and use the QR code to do a brief survey on that session. We're gonna do it for all the sessions. And the value and importance of it is actually making sure that we collect the data as it relates to actual potential impact, like any form of actual opportunities that would be advantage of. And that data is going to be used for these conferences to continue on. We wanted to show that these individuals that came together, no one's being paid here today, to be able to share their thoughts and ideals. Your time being here, you're not going to pay to be here, but your time and your actual input matters. This survey captures that. So if you can't take the time to do the survey, do one survey for each session. We really appreciate you guys. And there's coffee. If you need some coffee, let us know. Restrooms in the actual other rooms.
Donuts.
And we have a panel discussion coming up next. It's going to be pretty awesome. So please. Oh, this title of this session, I'm sorry, is Building and Sustaining Community Networks. Building and Sustaining Community Networks. You can also just put session 1. It was session 1. Session 1. Building and Sustaining Community Networks. And we're using the word network as a substitute to the word ecosystem. We believe you can build community ecosystems to interface with the larger ecosystem. Main takeaway. And morning. Oh, let's think about the system.